everyone and welcome to our first tutorial. In the tutorial I will present how to implement GitOps with CodeBuild, with which you can implement any automation you want according to GitHub events. You can use it for CI, testing processes, automated releases, or any process you want to automate in your workflow. Let's start. We're going to create a CodeBuild project that is triggered by received GitHub events we defined. For example, trigger by push, by pull request creation, by release, and etc. And of course, the CodeBuild automatically exports the log to CloudWatch and updates the GitHub with our CodeBuild project status. Before we start, let's talk about CodeBuild. What is it actually? So AWS CodeBuild is a fully managed continuous integration service that compiles source code, runs tests, and produces ready-to-deploy software packages. With CodeBuild, you don't need to provision, manage, and scale your own build servers. You just need to specify the location of your source code and choose your build settings. And CodeBuild will run your build scripts for compiling, testing, and packaging your code. I have created an example repository called GitOps using CodeBuild. Inside the repository, we have a very simple Go script. And for this repository, we will implement the GitOps. So how do we make it happen? Using the Terraform module by Senora. And before we use it, let's see what resources it creates. So we have the CodeBuild project, the webhook, IAM role and policy, and of course S3 bucket with its policy. The S3 bucket is used for CodeBuild artifact storing. For example, if I want to produce a test process, I would like to save the result in the bucket, or the compilation file, or the build process, and etc. So how do we actually use the module? We need to copy the provision instructions and paste them inside a Terraform file. Terraform file should be with the suffix of .tf. Let's create a new file named main.tf and paste it inside. If we will try to apply our code now, we will get an error because of 4 variables that are missing. Let's see what the necessary variables are. We will enter the Inputs tab, and here you can see both required and optional variables. But in this tutorial, we will only use the required ones. So, I have added the variables value. Build spec file variables gets the path of the build spec file in your repository. Our build spec in this tutorial is very clear and short. We define the Golang version, which is required, and the go build command with some prints commands. This means that my project execution will take my repository and will run inside these commands. We need to define the AWS provider settings because we want to create AWS resources from the AWS provider. So I have created a file named provider.tf. Actually, you can call it what you want, but the file suffix should be .tf. By the way, the files are in the GitHub repository, and there is a link in the description of this video. So feel free to collaborate on the repository and even create issues if you want to suggest some improvements or changes. Inside the folder, we will run the Terraform init command. Then we will run the Terraform plan command that will show us what resources will be created or updated or deleted according to my Terraform state file. At the end, we will apply the changes using the Terraform apply command. Excellent! The apply is finished and the 5 resources have been created successfully. Let's go into the AWS console and view our CodeBuild project. Inside the CodeBuild service page, we can see that there is a project that we created using the model and it's configured for our repository. The content of the code build, which is what commands run when executing the project, is defined by us as a root directory file. But you also have the option of inserting inline content in the console. Let's take a look at how the trigger is set up. You can see that the defined repository is the repository of our example. The event is the pull request creating, and the filter is base branch equals to main. This means that every time a pull request is created to main branch in this repository, the code build will be triggered automatically. Okay, so let's demonstrate. I'm creating a new branch, and I will add a small change to my README file just for the example of the pull request creation. Commit the change, and we will create a pull request to the main branch. Ta-da! Here our code build starts running. You can watch logs, of course. And if we go back to the GitHub pull request page, you can also see an indication of the status of the code build that automatically updates the pull request check. In the bucket, we didn't save artifacts, but you can find there the code build logs. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe Senora's channel. There is a lot of content that is coming soon. And that's it. If you want me to make a tutorial about Terraform usage for developers or even how I built this GitOps module, feel free to ask in the comments. Bye bye!